Commissioner Leonard.
Present.
And Chairman Halby.
Present.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Very good. All right. Thank you. All right. First item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from June 9th.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 9th, 2021.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Minutes approved. No old business, so on to new business. Unfortunately, Tim put up the agenda up there. We're going to skip order of the agenda.
We can table the first item, Mr. Chair, if you want to read through it, and then we'll ask.
Do that first.
We do need a motion to table this. We gave you some renderings in your packet of this project we're working on. There's a lot of moving pieces, annexations, PAD, site plan, ADOT's involved. We're just not quite ready.
Let's just officially open that one up. We'll get that one knocked out.
Just table it is all we need.
We'll table it down.
But we need a motion in a second.
Yep. I need a motion to table Cool PZ 210716.
Chairman Halby, I move that we table Cool PZ 21-07-16. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So now the next item on the agenda is Cool PZ 210613. We are going to skip that one till the end, and we'll move forward to Cool PZ 210820, a re-subdivision of Heartland Unit 3, submitted by Coe and Van Loo Consultants on behalf of NBC Heartland LLC, changing the boundaries of Track TT and Track EE, increasing the size of the well site. Director Lopez.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, all this is we're working with Arizona Water and Heartland, the developers on this, to expand the well site so they can serve the community with more water. So they're going to add some facilities to it. In order to do that, they're expanding the track TT1 and adding some additional land kind of to the northeast. So it's seen on the subject area. So that will allow Arizona Water to have a larger site, because they have to treat it, and they have a well that they're testing right now.
I was going to say that's been flowing for about a week now.
Right. Yeah, they have to do some tests for ADQ, and they have to run that pump. So they're doing that right now, and it's so they'll be done with it. But that's really what this is. Staff is recommending approval. We've been working with all the owners, which is the NBC, Heartland, and Arizona Water, of course, Coe and Van Loo, and we have a representative from D.R. Horton here in case we have any questions, and he's in the audience.
I would like to point out that the plat you guys were provided in your packet is different than what we're asking you to approve tonight. Some of the comments that we noted, signature blocks and verbiage on the title page, the applicant has already addressed and supplied us with an update. And if you notice on the actual plat document here, the boundary is slightly different versus the carve out that was EE1 and EE2. Are you with me? The reason being, creating it separately, kind of a landlocked parcel, and there's a combo on the back end, and this way just gets it done in one swoop. So those were staff comments, and the applicant quickly addressed them and was able to get them back to him before the meeting. But the report is still relevant to what we're doing.
How does this affect the adjoining properties that are on, what is that, 14 Drive?
Chairman Halby, it really has no effect. Park is still there.
Right.
The well site comes out a little more, so around the northeastern and southeastern boundary, that it'll get a wall around it that wasn't there before. Probably some fill dirt needs to go in there, but the properties that back up to tract EE1 on 14th, they're still going to back up to a park area.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we took a lot of calls from the public asking what it was because we did provide notice and we explained and they were okay with it. We have talked to the HOA, AAM, and they're fine with everything. And that track eventually will be in the name of the HOA, not the city of Coolidge. So it'll be an HOA property, and D.R. Horton, I believe, will upgrade the track before they take it over and deed it over to the HOA. So I think that's the plan.
The HOA was actually under the impression that it was already going to be theirs.
Yeah, but it was still under the different name.
Members of the commission, Patrick Brown with D.R. Horton. Address is 20410 North 19th Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona. Appreciate your consideration and hopeful approval on this. As you can imagine, when this was platted years and years ago in the early 2000s, design parameters, ADEQ criteria has changed, and Arizona Water Company has even decided to take all their on-site flows of well sites truly on-site, where this was originally planned to spill over into that park tract area. So what we're doing today is actually cleaning it up, making sure that they have the necessary area to meet all current ADEQ standards, as well as you see, provide future well capacity. And there's going to be a 1 MGD tank on the site versus 2 500,000 gallon tanks on the site, which will actually lower the tank height, which we think is a benefit to the entire community and the surrounding neighbors, especially with it being that close to the school. The Arizona Water Company thought from a design standpoint that's stronger. So we're members of the JDA and working hand in hand with Arizona Water Company to build these future facilities necessary for Coolidge to continue to grow. So, but the park's there, and this will be dedicated to the HOA and fully landscaped. As you guys have driven by there, it's kind of just a dirt lot. So as we start developing the next parcels, we will be improving that with full landscaping and turning over the HOA, creating more amenities for the community. So if you have any other further questions, I'm here to answer any, but appreciate staff and all their hard work on this.
Mr. Chair, staff, just for clarification, so the additional acreage for the well site is still going to inure to the HOA and be counted towards the overall park density? When you have the original PAD, you set your park, you set your lots. Is this affecting the mix so that they have to go back and find additional park property? Or is it just the transitioning of the use with the tract?
Yeah, no, we didn't, because it is taking a little piece of that off, but I believe they're over on the area. The open space is huge for Heartland. They have
because of, let's see, we got something in here somewhere. Their overall minimum density specified in this PAD is they're still in well excess of that, primarily because of this southern area down here, which they also far exceed their retention and drainage requirements, even taking this acre out. We did look at some of that stuff, and Unit 4 is in the works and adds some more open space, but they are well above the current standard of 15% still, and what the PAD specifies. So,
and the fact that it was going to originally be a city park, it's going to be an HOA park now. So we're not going to take it, and so the HOA is going to maintain it. So it just adds more acreage to their total, so that should be fine. Because the area on the bottom is used as retention for the development, but also part of Coolidge, and that was the agreement with when this was developed back in the day.
I appreciate the update, and again, the learning curve. But I've experienced sometimes it can take a while for, in this case, D.R. Horton to update their information. And the question being, wait a minute, I thought I was buying close to park. As long as we can still maintain the minimum requirements for your park and your open space, that should be resolved.
Right.
that's a great point.
Yep. Good question.
And this, again, like Mr. Brown said, this will facilitate growth within the general area, not just Heartland, the expansion of this well site, with a lot of other things that you guys have seen earlier in the year. and we'll see later.
And the lower height of the tanks,
Mhm.
That's a plus.
big plus.
Wants to look at that.
Yep.
This is a public hearing. At this time, we'll open it up to the public. Anybody would like to come speak? Please step to the podium.
Mr. Chair, I don't believe I had anybody sign up for this item here.
All right. And we'll close the public hearing. We'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve Cool PZ 21-08-20, redivision of Heartland Unit 3.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Now we'll move on. Cool PZ 210613, major site plan application submitted by Coolidge Solar Center, also known as 11 Mile Solar Center, for their solar farm on approximately 1,540 acres located in the area of State Route 287 and 11 Mile Corner, Pinal County, Arizona, parcel numbers 401-01-0860, 0870, 0880, 401-14004, 0060, and parcel 401-15001C, 0050, and 401-21043A, 0440. Director Lopez.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, this is coming back to you as a site plan. The conditional use permit was already approved prior to this. So this is the site plan where it goes through the public process before you, so you could look at it. And of course, it's Coolidge Solar Center LLC was originally came in as Coronal. And so now it's Coolidge Solar Center LLC is the name of the company, or with the LLC is going to be in control of this. These are two separate parcels. The ownership is Alligator Farms Properties and also Randy J. Duncan Trust. As you mentioned, it's 1,540 acres total. There's some separation between the two pieces. They're not contiguous to each other, but they are around the Pinal Central Solar, or the substation, I think is where they're going to connect. And the applicant's in the process of combining the parcels. The minimum setbacks have been met. And the things that were required in the conditional use permit, they've adhered to, and I know they've been working with some of the neighbors to work with them on some things they wanted, and I think they'll speak to that. And let's see what else. They conform with the general plan. They can do either the landscaping, 3 shrubs, 1 tree for every 30 feet, or the we've also allowed in the past oleanders if they choose double space. We have that in St. Solar over in on Steel Road and 87, and also on the Eastline Solar that's over by Lemont Corner and Selma Highway, and they're growing them there like that. Tim, what else do we have? And Tim's got a detail up there so you can see it a little better. Some of the requirements, we generally require the landscaping along street frontages or where it impacts houses, that type of thing. Where there's farmland only, there's really no need for it at that point. So that's what we've done with all of them. And so, Tim?
We do have a couple of staff comments that we would like included in this that weren't in your report. initially after talking to the fire department on this page. So this is 287 Lemar Corner right here. The fire department would like an additional hammerhead turnaround put here and here that weren't currently shown on the plan, so that they don't have to go through these gates to get to them. Easy thing to accommodate. And then additionally, from the end of the parking lot at the racetrack over to 11 Mile, we would like a landscape buffer there. And those are the additional comments from the staff level.
And Mr. Chair, I believe the applicant has a presentation. They just like to run some slides so they can explain to you what they've done.
Let's do that and possibly answer some questions some of the folks in the audience probably have. Please, real quick, step to the podium, give us your name, your address, please.
Yep. Howdy, everyone. My name's Donnie Joe Worth, or DJ Worth. My address is it's the Austin office for. Sorry about that. Is the Austin office for Orsted, Orsted Onshore North America. Yep. And so I'm representing Orsted and 11 Mile Solar Center. All right. So 11 Mile Solar Center here. My name's Donnie Joe Worth, DJ Worth. I'm here with my colleague Jonathan Vestiquez, and I've also worked on this project with United Engineering. So Chris Morgan is here with us with United Engineering. So I want to take some time, introduce our project and also our company, and be able to talk through some of the steps that we've taken. So first off,
DJ, you can pull that mic off of there if you need to, if you want to move.
Great.
We need you to
How's
talk
this?
for the recording.
How's this? All right.
Thank you.
Testing, testing, 1, 2. Yeah, so Orsted, high level. Our vision is to be able to have a world that runs entirely on green energy. And so we are worldwide. We're one of the largest renewable energy developers in the world. And we have been recognized as the most sustainable company in the world 3 years running. And a lot of that has to do with, yes, we are renewable energy, but the other is how we go about our developments in a responsible way. So this is our worldwide footprint. So Orsted is the world's largest offshore wind energy producer. Here, I'm realizing I'm a tall person in your way. And so we also have onshore wind and onshore solar, and we're additionally expanding into hydrogen development as well, which aligns very well with our neighbors south of here. Here in the U.S., a lot of our offshore wind portfolio is focused on the East Coast. And I'm personally out of the Austin office, as I mentioned before. Jonathan's out of the Chicago office, and we're working on a lot of our onshore portfolio here. And so you can see a big presence in operations and construction for wind and solar. We have about 1,400 megawatts under construction or in operation for solar. And that leads me into 11 Mile Solar Center here in Arizona. So as Gilbert introduced before, whenever we first met with you back in 2019, this was Coronal Solar and Coolidge Solar Center. So the included a map here. These are the requirements that were provided to us by the city of Coolidge after that CUP process. And I just want to take you down a little journey how we became Orsted and this project became 11 Mile Solar Center. And so back in May of 2019, during that conditional use process, Lincoln Clean Energy acquired Coronal Solar. After that, towards the end of the year, Lincoln Clean Energy got fully integrated into Orsted. 2020, we all know what happened in 2020, but we expanded into Eloy. And so starting in 2021, we were able to start traveling, coming to Arizona. I was really excited to meet with everyone here at Coolidge, starting in April. And back in July, we renamed the project 11 Mile Solar Center. It kind of encompasses the larger positive impact we have on Pinal County. And so that's a little bit of the story of the journey, and this is some project information. Real quick, this is a picture of one of our projects out in West Texas. It's called Permian Energy Center. So project information, solar technology, so it's going to be photovoltaics, so it's going to be absorbing that solar energy and converting it directly into electricity. The total size is going to be 300 megawatts, and in terms of how many homes that powers, it's about 64,000 Arizonan homes. For construction, we're really excited. For construction to start next year, and then operations for COD, commercial operation date, being 2023 or 2024. And our intended customer is going to be Salt River Project. And so really excited to be able to talk to you all about this project because of the benefits. We're going to be changing the land use, so increased tax revenue. That's going to be going to City of Coolidge, Pinal County, and also a lot of the schools. Here in Coolidge, Coolidge USD, and Casa Grande's elementary school, their high school, and also the Central Arizona College. Local jobs, we're estimating about 300 construction-related jobs during construction, and then the local suppliers and services that support us during that construction, and then later on in the operation and maintenance phase. And so, commissioners, in your packet, you'll see that we actually have a form that we have been passing out to folks as we're doing these meetings. It will be on the right side, the second page behind the project one-pager. And that's a form that we're passing out to a lot of folks, saying we want to be working with folks locally, whether it's civil contractors, vegetation management, and everything in between. And last is the land conservation. We know there's a lot of growth within Pinal County, and we're really excited to be a responsible use of that land as Pinal County grows towards this region. And so site plan overview, we went a little bit around that at the beginning of the meeting. Commissioners, you've been able to receive a packet with some details on the site. And so, yeah, we reviewed that earlier. And so landscaping, this is going to be a mix of some parts of our project are going to have oleanders. You can see that with the dotted lines, and then we're also going to have trees and shrubs near some of our other project neighbors. So community input, this is something that you're able to see. We've been coming out here since April and really want to be able to learn how we can work responsibly and be able to retain that reputation that we have for being a good member of the community. And so in your packet, you can be able to see on the left side, the first page gives you a summary of all the outreach that we've done. There's been a lot of phone calls, a lot of in-person meetings, and high-level summary here being us reaching out to neighbors. You're able to see that a copy of all those neighbors that we reached out to. I believe it was 69 individual neighbors and a little over 90 individual parcels. And we also had a lot of phone calls with neighbors when we had their number. On July 20th, we had neighbor office hours. We had several folks attend, and we had several follow-up calls and meetings with those folks. Additionally, schools. My background's engineering. I was really excited to talk to the intro to engineering course at Central Arizona College, and we also joined the Coolidge USD back to school event to be able to talk to the staff there at Coolidge USD about our project. We've had lots of meetings with city officials and sponsorship. We've already committed to be sponsors here at the city, the Coolidge Chamber of Commerce, and we actually supported the career camps at Casa Grande Elementary School over the summer. So it's a little bit of an intro on our project, and yeah, yield the floor.
Can you put the map back up? Large map? Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. So I imagine we have quite a few people from that community right there.
Chair, I have several.
Why don't we start down the list? We can start addressing them.
I'm going to change this map.
Okay. All right, at this time, we'll open this meeting up to the public, so everybody can get an opportunity to come to the podium and speak, if you wish.
Mr. Chairman, our first sign-up is Peter Everhart.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, thank you for this evening. My name is Peter Everhart. I live at 1159 West Lynn Lane, one of the properties directly adjacent to the north fence of Subject Site 2. I live within the 300-meter location of it. Yep, that would be. I'm law enforcement for my regular job, but I do have a history in landscaping and hydroseeding. So prior to this meeting, I drove to the several sites where this stuff has already been installed and implemented. There's some serious concerns I have about dust control, so I went ahead and just wrote something up. The vegetation on the exterior perimeter for the dust control, while driving past the solar farm on the northwest corner of East Selma Highway, 11-mile corner, I observed sparse and dying vegetation planted on the east and south fence lines, areas adjacent to the street. For vegetation, the only observed plants were oleanders, placed approximately 6 to 10 feet apart. All the oleanders appeared to be in distress, with a high number of plants being dead. Upon further examination, I observed that these plants were supplied water via a drip system hooked up to a steel tank. I also observed that the steel tank had no access to well water and would have to be supplied water by a manual conveyance, a truck. No vegetation planted on the shared west fence line either. Some of my concerns are that there is no permanent access for the irrigation plants, and that once construction is complete and all permits are approved, the plants will simply die off due to a lack of water, the cause of serious dust control issues, and allow for nuisance weeds to form and blow into our residential irrigation canal, which borders that northern fence line for Subject Site 2. This will obviously result in obstruction for water flow. I've also heard rumors that the drip system installed is being destroyed by rodents, so I'm genuinely concerned about continued maintenance for all this. Some of my concerns would be, how long is the maintenance contract for the plants? From what I've heard with Gothic, it's only 1 year. And what are the assurances that are in place that these will be maintained throughout the life of the solar plant and not abandoned in the short term once construction receives their final approval? Other counties such as Maricopa take dust control very seriously and mandate landscapers to cover perimeters with gravel and container plants, not just oleanders, every 6 to 10 feet. I think that this could be accomplished on fence lines that are adjacent to residences as well as on public streets. Additional concerns: while the land on Subject Site 2 was farmland, it will now be commercial land, with multiple pieces of heavy equipment operate on it, which will completely degrade any dirt pack or natural soil lock that has occurred. This area is prone to heavy dust, storms, and blowing weeds. This will only be exacerbated during and after construction of the solar plant. All hydroseeding conducted inside and outside of the perimeter of the solar farms that I have viewed today has contained zero native plant seed, only water and a small amount of tackifier. This is a cheap method contractors use to stabilize dust control that will only last for about a year, maybe less with rainfall. Some of the remedies that I would suggest, because I'm not just bringing problems, is when hydroseeding utilizes a mixture of water, tackifier, and native plant seeds to prevent weed growth and eventual irrigation issues. The additional gravel and native plants will not only help the dust and erosion issues, but will help mitigate the damage the solar plant will have on home values in the surrounding area. Lastly, my last major concern regarding the perimeter fence adjacent to both the residential properties and street, I would like to know what the planting, fencing, vegetation, additional landscaping will be installed to mitigate safety concerns since many small children live in close proximity to subject site 2. I request that all adjacent fences be secure, higher than prospective solar panels, concealed with vegetation that will be maintained throughout the life of the solar plant, and that the perimeter be landscaped to help dust, weed control issues and mitigate some of the home valuation loss during this solar plant. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, next person on our list is Mr. Tom Bagnell.
Tom Bagnell, P.O. Box 2084, Coolidge. I have two addresses, 67 North Sunshine, Casa Grande 85194, and 7443 South Sunshine, Coolidge 85194. Mr. Lopez is familiar with that. I live basically at the corner, the northeast corner of Highway 287 and Sunshine Boulevard. This is not foreign to me. I went through this process when when NextEra came in across the road. If anybody wants to take a look at the landscaping currently over there, please have a look at that. It's pretty much back to the same crappy look. The only problem is they don't have, the only good thing about it is they don't have the tumbleweeds all growing up under the solar panels this time. My concerns I voiced many times well before this meeting at the CUP meeting, or whatever, the CUP? Okay, at that meeting, and I even had discussions with City Manager Rick Miller and Mr. Lopez about my concerns. I know that this project's going in. There's no doubt about that. That's fine. But I also asked that I be protected and that I be part of the process. So tonight we're here with the site plan to approve it. And this is the first time I've seen it. How many people have seen this here tonight? See, nobody has. How can this be an open process if we don't see this site plan until tonight and we don't have a time to digest the information? It's not fair. I voiced my concerns to Mr. Worth, and of course everything that I voiced my concerns about, he just kind of blew it off. I asked for greater setbacks, and he said, well, we're going to do the minimum. And I don't want this right in front of my home. I've made that very clear. And I also know that there's a couple of memorandum of options on property to the north of this. They're on the property that's bounded by 11 Mile Corner, 287 and Sunshine, going north and then on back over to the east some more again. Another, 2,000, 2,500 acres that could possibly be solar. The heat island thing is real. Don't tell me it isn't. It is, and it's going to get worse as long as we keep approving all these solar projects. Getting back to the setbacks, I don't know what the setbacks are going to be. It's never really been put out to me. I mean, I can't tell from this what the setbacks are going to be. I asked for a copy. I talked to Commissioner Bolin, and he sent me a copy, but then the part that was right in front of my house was cut off. I don't know what the setbacks are.
They're on the website, aren't they, Ken?
The minimum is 50 per the CUP, but they're more than that at this location. It's a lot.
Looks like they're right after.
While he's looking for that, there's a couple other things I'd like to address. I know that they have come back now and they've agreed to go ahead and put a block wall along Sunshine Boulevard to where it will shield my property. And this is only after I had mentioned that there's probably going to be a problem with glare. And Mr. Worth, he came back and told me, nope, there's not going to be any problem with glare. The lady that was here on behalf of Coronal or whatever their name is, she even said that there's glare. Justin Roberts, who lives at 11 Mile Corner and 287, he said there was glare. And then Mr. Worth says there's no glare. And then now Mr. Worth is saying, well, the block wall is going to shield the glare. So what is it, Mr. Worth? Is there glare or not? What else are we not telling us? EMI is another thing.
You need to address us, not Mr. Worth.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. But there's a lot of other things that there's just too many questions out there. And that's fine. They want to go ahead and go with their project, but they need to mitigate the amount of effect it has on the neighboring property owners.
100%, sir, and that's why we're here today.
Right. But how do you do that when this comes up for approval tonight and nobody here has even seen it?
What's your concern? We're hearing your concern about your property.
Right, my concern's about my property and the setbacks at my property and along 287. Mr. Miller even said when Nextera was doing theirs, let's set it back further so we can leave that open for commercial development. Mr. Kaywood said that when he was here. And it's just like it's all fallen on deaf ears. So I guess what I'm saying is until we have an opportunity to get this and look at it and digest it, you need to table it. Thank you.
Chairman Halby, Matthew Aguayo.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and council members. My name is Matthew Aguayo. Address is 661 North Castledale Ave. So it's just north of that white spot right there. So the only concerns that we would have would be what barriers or screens are going to be put in place to reduce noise, reduce glare, and the dust control. That's a big issue, especially out there. Like they have fields that will get plowed, but whenever that soil, is fresh, it comes up in the air. That's a huge issue. During construction, how much construction is going to be put on this road, which is 2 lanes? And there's Mary C. O'Brien School just to the north. So that's a concern. Like, is that going to disrupt the flow of traffic through there? And yeah, as far as the reflection, heat, and noise, are these barriers going to be aesthetically pleasing? Is it just going to be oleanders, or is it going to be a brick wall or something? It just makes it look nice, because to the left of this part, or the yellow section, it is residential open field where it could be potential for growth for residential homes. So that's pretty much our concern. Thanks.
Thank you.
Chairman Halby. Ms. Rose Robertson is next on the list. Mr. Michael Hu.
Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Hu. I live in Chandler, Arizona, and I own a parcel of this small parcel of land next to the south part of this project by the canal. If you can show the picture, I can point where it is. It's I think this is my parcel. My concern right now is that first of all, I want to say I support this. Okay, I'm a physicist by training. I think that by burning oil, it's not really the solution. I think everybody should read, especially this year. And so this, no matter what, I think still pointing to a better position. And I know there are major semiconductor manufacturers coming in town now. The first being Taiwan Semiconductor. They're supposed to come put like $12 billion north of Phoenix. But they said actually going to be 3 times more, which is $36 billion. So Intel is also putting like $20 billion. And I even heard rumors that Samsung hasn't made an announcement yet because the Arizona public land auction has been postponed over and over. One of the sites is supposed to be in Queen Creek. And I'm not quite sure it's in Maricopa Queen Creek or Pinell Queen Creek. But my point to this, all of these companies wanted 100% pure renewable energy. For example, Apple, if you're a supplier of Apple product manufacturer, they want to certify that you are 100% renewable energy. So I understand there are certain things that all of us have concern. I have concern here too, and I'm going to bring that up later on. But first of all, I want to say I support the solar power. I think the time of burning coal, it's ending of it. SRP already made an announcement that there's a major gas power plant, something as a temporary solution. I also think that's really needed too, to integrate the whole thing here. But everything said here, I support the solar, and there's a reason, not because of me. I think sooner or later the Earth will be damaged that much. That doesn't matter who we are now. We're going to end up together. So, okay, my concern is that my lot is here. So there's a road here.
Michael, can you please take the microphone with you?
Okay. So there's a road here. I don't know what's name is early maybe. This road here, nobody maintains it. So number one, I ask who is responsible for this one here. And the secondly is that I totally understand they put a lot of decoration along the major road here. Is there any way we can put some decoration here too? Because, I mean, they are not interested in my parcel, so I'm planning to do some kind of residential here in the future. So that's my concern here. But other than that, one of the things I think people can explore is probably it's not practical is that, people use goats and sheep to clean their yard too. And this actually could be practical. We have so many solar power now. I mean, I just don't know which farmer will be interested whenever we have bloom, I ship a bunch of sheep and goats here. Maybe goats can jump, but who knows, the sheep probably couldn't. They actually can clean this fairly easily. And as a matter of fact, maybe the company can pay them to do this in a way that is better than instead of the dust and chemicals. Because all this Roundup causes cancer. I'm a physicist. I'm working in radiation cancer center business. I know how bad cancers are. And all of these fertilizers, the pesticide, the herbicide, all of the cancerogenic. All right. I just want to emphasize again, I support this project. Thank you, everybody.
Chairman Halby, Mr. Ken Raycraft is next on the list.
Good evening, Ken Raycraft, 2312 East Prescott Place, Chandler. I'm a owner of a property that Orsted is buying on 11 Mile Corner across from the existing substation. By decommissioning the farm ground here, there's a major water problem in Pinell County right now, if people aren't aware of it. So this would free up about 6,000 acre feet of water for the community. I think it's a great area for it. There's no infrastructure other than some water. There's no treatment plants in this area, no freeway systems close by. So I think in 30 years they'll be growing homes here, or 40 years instead of growing crops. So we certainly support this project.
Chairman Halby, that's all I have who signed up, but I'm not sure we caught everybody.
Is there anybody else that'd like to come to the podium that didn't sign the list? Please. Just be brief.
Commission, again, Peter Everhart, 1159 Westland Lane. So I bought my property in June of 2019, so maybe the company that's developing it didn't have an opportunity to address some of these concerns with me or bring me into the planning on this. Other than the letter I received from the city, I have received nothing in the 2.5 years that I've lived there. I would implore you as commissioners to consider tabling this just for a period of time to allow the residents in the community to work with them. I'm not opposed to it myself, but I do have concerns. I feel like tonight is not adamant time to address those concerns. I'm just asking for more time for us to work together. Like I said, I have 4 children that will be no less than 200 feet from that. I have no idea if it's going to be horse panel fencing, no fencing. I have no clue at this point. So as a father, I'm imploring you, table this so we can make a educated decision together. Again, no notifications. I have no idea what the exterior is supposed to be. I understand that they say 300 jobs will be coming, but that's for construction. These are minimal maintenance places. What are the real numbers? Obviously, there's tax revenue, but what are the real numbers of jobs that it's going to put in this community that I live in? Another concern for myself, because I have not been a part of any of this, I see at every site that there's backup diesel generators at all these locations. My time in Iraq showed me that diesel generators are obnoxiously loud. I don't know where those are going to be staged near my property, so that's a genuine concern of noise for me and pollution. That's it. Thank you.
There's one more thing I'd just like to address, just very briefly. It's Tom Bagnell. Again, the one thing that I neglected to bring up was the battery facility. I had brought that up in my concerns about those. We know that they catch fire. We know that they blow up. I asked that they not be located anywhere on the property across from me, and I get a very non-committal answer every time I bring that up. They say it's not planned there at this time. Doesn't mean that they can't do it later. I talked to the the fire chief yesterday. I asked him about what kind of preparedness do we have with the fire department as far as fighting lithium-ion battery fires, and he was non-committal. He said, you know, we have trainings, but he wouldn't get specific with me about it. So that's another concern that I have. And I just have a feeling that these things are an accident waiting to happen, and they don't want to tell me yes or no whether or not they will locate one of those on my property. And the police chief tells me that that has to go through him. If they do decide that, it has to go through planning and zoning. And it was my understanding when I talked to Mr. Lopez that once they got their certificate of convenience or certificate of whatever, that they can do it at any time. They don't have to come back to the planning and zoning. And that, I think, is a big mistake. Thank you.
Mr. Lopez, we have several issues that I've heard.
Mr. Chair, if you'd like, you can allow Orsted to address those concerns, see if they can do that.
Are you prepared to do that today? Please. Just so you guys all know, and pardon me for interrupting, this is the time and place. We're approving their site plan. So now is the time to talk about fencing, talk about landscaping, talk about maintenance and operation of the facility, placements of a battery bank, or whatever you want to call that. This is the time and the place. I will tell you that I am leaning toward what Peter had suggested in tabling this item, because I do want to give the residents an opportunity to look this over. Much like yourselves, I've seen this for about the last 4 days that I've had to go over it. I have questions myself, and I want to make sure that we're doing right by the citizens of Coolidge. This is our community. We live here. I'm sorry, but we just heard you don't. And we have to live here. Okay? For that reason, please, tell me how you're going to fix this.
Yeah.
How do we mitigate all of my neighbors? How do I fix them to make them happy?
I hear you. This is a very important process and something that, as you've seen from our work, is very important. I grew up in a small town in eastern Oklahoma. I've gone through this process in my hometown, so I know it's very important, and this is something that Orsted as a company, 11 Mile Solar Center, and myself are really wanting to work through. So, yeah, I've heard several different items here, and I really appreciate everyone providing their feedback, first of all. I think having a conversation is really important, and so that's exactly why we sent out those letters. We sent out letters because we wanted to reach out to those landowners who are neighboring us. We've heard from several of y'all during the calls leading up to office hours, calls after office hours, and also during office hours. I've heard several concerns this evening. I'd love to talk through them all. And so, agreed, this is a very important process, and yeah, we're wanting to be good members of the community, as we've expressed to the Coolidge officials, as we've expressed to the landowners over the phone, over email, and over letter. So, is there specific items you'd like to go through first?
Sure. Seemed like one of the major ones was dust control. How do you plan to manage the dust control?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, Pinal County has a requirement for dust control. Also, it's in our financial interest to minimize dust, because the more dust that accumulates on solar panels, the less electricity that's produced. So it is very much in our financial interest, and it's very much in the community's interest, and it's a requirement through Pinal County to mitigate dust.
But that didn't tell me how.
Jonathan can probably speak to that.
I'm Jonathan Vazdakis. I'm out of the Chicago office for Orsted. And as far as dust control goes, typically they have water trucks that come and spray specifically during construction. And that's when there's more kick-up during dust. Typically, though, we're not going to be excavating quite a bit during construction. It's generally going to be pile driving. So there's going to be, the water trucks coming by, making sure where there's a lot of activity that there's not going to be a lot of dust control. That's something that we work with Pinal County, or typically it's a county permit that regulates that. So that's something that we are genuinely going to be moving forward and making sure that we're minimizing any dust impacts, because it is a nuisance. We recognize that across the country where we deal with these issues, and that's something that we're prepared to take care of and consistently do.
Jonathan, my question is really not during construction, because during construction everybody has to maintain dust.
Sure.
We know that. We live in a particularly extremely dusty environment. So much so that ADOT has a reduced or variable speed limit on the freeway and a monitoring system, a state-of-the-art monitoring system to monitor for dust because it's so bad here.
Mm-hmm.
What are you planting?
And so typically at sites like this, that Orsted will have native either seed, or because we won't be doing a considerable amount of grading at this site specifically, we intend to leave the underbrush as is. And so we're not going to be spraying any chemicals for weed control. We're just going to try to keep as much of the native fauna and flora as possible.
But you're putting shade over the top of it, not much of the
So
flora and fauna are going to grow.
they still are able to grow. It's not completely covering, and it's tracking panels is typically what we're going to be planning here. So we do anticipate that there will be sunlight for those plants.
I guess the point I'm getting at, are you planning to hydroseed?
I'm not familiar with hydroseeding specifically, so I can definitely come back to that and find out, more information about that. Like I said, we try to minimize disturbance of the ground while we're going through construction and obviously during our operations phase. Orsted is committed to being a good steward of the land. Part of that includes making sure that the biodiversity is a net positive. That's something that we're trying to do, and I think by keeping native grasses or native flora and fauna, they may be bushes or what have you that grow below the panels, that'll be something that we're intending to keep there.
I have a question about that. How many people are going to be employed after the fact, once the plant's installed,
Mm-hmm.
to maintain drip lines, maintain overgrowth of plants, maintain the plant, so we don't have another 287 plant that looks like the devil out there that everybody compares other plants to.
That man right there is not the only one that drives by it every day.
Sure.
We all do.
We all do.
We all passed it. We all let it approve, and now we're all not happy.
Sure.
What are you guys going to do different to make us happy?
So Orsted is Orsted, and we are committed to keeping our word, and there are certain obligations that we have under our permits. So we are committed and have a track record of this sort of success. As far as specific numbers for how many folks will be managing the site and on site every day, I don't have that information today. But that's something that we can work with our asset management team. We have a global world-class asset management team that manages these facilities full-time. And so, we're intending on bringing that sort of pedigree to the 11 Mile Solar facility as well, so that we can, one, maintain our reputation as developers and owners and operators of these facilities. I think it was mentioned before that there may be rumors that it's a one-year operations contract. That's not true. We own and operate these assets for the entirety of their lives. And we are a 100% renewable company with 100% sustainable goals. And so that is what we do. This is our business.
And we're going to hold your feet to the fire.
That's why we're here.
I guarantee you that.
That's why we're here, answering questions, putting our faces in front of the community. We've tried to, and we've had our track record of outreach. We are not shy. We are not hiding behind anything. We are here to hopefully work together and benefit the community, and that's really what we're all about. DJ and I have been coming down here as much as we've been able to with the travel restrictions being lifted by our corporation. We've been, making all the calls and everything that we can. So we're really committed, and I hope that all the information that we've been providing you shows our commitment to the community and to being good neighbors here. Any other? I can answer more questions if.
Mr. Chair, I have a couple of questions, and then if you're my skis, throw something at me. I want to go back to a couple of the comments that were made, and Mr. Chair, your comment that you made resonates with me. I was under the impression that this site plan had been made available to the community at least prior to us seeing it, and it doesn't sound like that was able to be done. And I guess my question, and that is, and maybe this is to Mr. Worth, great, you sent out a letter. What did we do to give folks in the neighborhood the opportunity to see this? Because that's what they're commenting on.
I mean, I don't know I think Tim,
Commissioner Leonard, we did not mail out the site plan. We don't do it as a matter of practice. We sent out notifications on August 19th to everyone within 300 feet of the address provided by the assessor's office.
The idea being then that
if you so desire, this is a matter of public record when it comes in, and we are happy to provide it to you.
I appreciate that.
But
yeah,
it's
not
a number of pages.
Yeah. And then my second question.
On a lot of things, they go in the trash can, maybe not for solar, but.
Yeah. My second question relates to, and this would be because my first meeting, this is the first time the commission is seeing this site plan at this meeting.
Site plan, yes.
Site plan, okay.
Now, we did the conditional use permit a few years ago.
Yeah, which.
That allowed the use. And we didn't have issue then with the use, and we still, I don't think, have issue with the use. We did, however, at that time, have some issues with fencing, landscaping, some of the same issues we're currently having today still aren't being addressed, and these folks were told then that there's a time and a place for that, and that wasn't the time and place, but here is, and now is. So I appreciate all of you guys for showing up tonight. I really do.
Mr. Chair, if I may, the conditions that were on here were the ones that P&Z placed on it when it approved it. So the fencing and all that was part of the process, so they were addressed. So now if it's changed, that's fine, but that at the time, that's what we followed, and then, so Mr. DJ Worth, I know in his list has where he provided some meetings, and was the site plan there, or no, you didn't have it available?
Yeah,
at the
we
meetings?
had mapped the project.
Okay, so they had, so just so you know, they had meetings where the public was invited to attend.
Mr. Lopez, if I might, I want to clarify. So you had a map, but did it have the level of detail of the site plan?
We did not have that level of site plan detail at the office.
And Mr. Lopez, I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Chair, if you'll indulge me here. The conditional use permit approves the use. Did it also, by way of its approval, set, for example, the setbacks and the landscape requirements?
Yes, it did. It did.
Yep.
Okay. And that gets to then, Mr. Chair, and I promise I'll try and shorten it up because I recognize I'm the least important person associated with what's going on here.
No.
Regarding, for example, dust control, and for the applicant's history, Pinal County is in a perpetual state of non-attainment, particularly rated to PM10 standards in dust. And so while your use after construction may not generate dust, everybody around you is still held to the requirements, including the farmers, that even when they can't grow a crop, they're still required to do things like ground cover and disking and tilling. And so for my purposes, suggesting that we're going to let native vegetation grow as a means of helping the county and this area address PM10 is lacking. I have some concerns that may not be able to be addressed relative to the site plan. I've heard a lot about we're meeting minimums from the applicant. What I haven't heard is what you're doing beyond minimums. I don't know that you truly can understand what the community is looking for. For example, my question to you is, have you gone by, I shouldn't call it the Kaywood plant, because it's not the Kaywood plant, but it's adjacent to Mr. Kaywood's farms. If you go and take a look at that, that's not a community amenity. And really what you're proposing in this regard, at least under this current site plan, is a promise. Well, they had promises before, as you're hearing. And so, Mr. Chair, with that, I would let you understand that I'm not exactly enthused about the current site plan as it exists. But if there's not much we can do, or there's something we can do, I'd like to hear it, but I think we're lacking. I think this is a good first step, but I think the overall site plan is lacking to be the actual community amenity it wants to be. And for example, they would point out, even on the details, Mr. Worth, on page 2 of 20 on the project, you're not even providing setbacks on how far away from the perimeter fencing your panel arrays are going to be. It's an approximation. And I get it, it's a solar plant. We want to put as many solar panels in the field as we can. I'm familiar with working with other solar arrays, but there's also some detail lacking on there that I'm not sure how we hold you to standards related to, you're not putting a panel array inches off of this fence line, because it's not in here. So the site plan, at least in my opinion, needs some additional work, and that's where I'll end.
Now, I have to say something. When we did the conditional use permit, we blasted your company, or the previous company, with everything that we had because of 287. Because 287 didn't have anything to do with Coolidge. In fact, we got threatened with a $10 million lawsuit if we said anything.
60.
Oh, 60?
I think it was 60.
So,
It wasn't 10.
we had big threats because we were trying to stop them from doing what they're doing out there right now. They came back and they were really sorry that they did to us what they did, because the next project they got hammered on. Now, we can do this the right way, or we can do this any way you want to do it. But if you don't work with us, I can guarantee you, you're going to get hammered. We're not going to put up with it. We want the things that we discussed when you got the conditional use permit. They were hard and fast things that we discussed. Setbacks, walls, fences, plants, protection for the people that live in the home sites there. We discussed all this. We thought we had a good plan. Doesn't sound like we've got a good plan. I know Tom was here, and he discussed all of his problems. But the people that were here when you got the conditional use permit aren't the same people that's here tonight. I can tell you that. The people that's sitting out there are, but they're not. The people that we were working with then aren't the same people that's here tonight. And I have a problem with that, because it seems like, as things progress, as things change, as things go on down the road, now we can let some of that slide. We don't want to let anything slide. I mean, there was some things about Tom's place that we were going to discuss, that there was going to be another setback, or there was going to be walls, there was going to be all kinds of things. Doesn't sound like Tom's very satisfied with what's coming up. That's enough of my story.
You had something, Tim?
Chairman Halby, Commissioners, I'd like to back up just a little bit here. This map you see on the screen right now is a visual representation of the conditional use permit, Resolution 1902, granted in 2019. Conditions A through M in the written form, which are outlined in here, related to right-of-way dedications, chip sealings of roadways, landscape requirements, panel setbacks that the Commission put in this resolution, all of which have been met. They exceed minimum setbacks throughout the majority of the site.
Okay.
The perimeter fencing, which was brought up earlier, is chain link, powder-coated green or brown for this requirement. Landscaping option of 1 tree, 3 shrubs per 30 feet, or the oleander staggered double rows, 15 on center. For each respective row, there's an exhibit somewhere. And again, this is all available to the public anytime you want it. This map, the resolution, the site plan, all of this. I know a lot of people aren't happy about this, and I understand. But we're not talking about whether or not they can do this. The use is long approved.
No.
And we're just, you can't please all the people all the time, but Orsted has done more public outreach than any other solar farm that's been constructed in this area. And
I'm not blasting Orsted.
there could be more to be done, and they can have further discussions for sure, but as was alluded to, that they haven't. They have met all the requirements with this plan that was in writing the commission
But
put
Jim,
on
I
them
thought
when
that
they
we
granted
told
it.
Mr. Bagnell we were gonna give them 250 feet off of 287.
That wasn't in the, I know it's back more than 50 feet, but
No, it was, we were supposed to allow for, retail use on 287.
that's not in the, you didn't stipulate that.
I think that was part of the next era discussion when we were trying to annex that and getting sued for $16 million.
Yeah, that was Rick
But
talking,
there are some minutes that, if that's in there, we'll
Right,
find it.
'cause didn't that came from Rick?
I would be happy to,
on the other property, the next era property.
I would
Yes.
be happy to check that.
So
Yeah,
why
we'll
would-
look into it.
Why wouldn't we follow that flow though? If we did it on the property
Well, they're,
side of it. why
unless
wouldn't we
they
follow
sell that property to somebody to develop it, they own the property, so I don't know if they're into developing commercial sites. That's not usually what they do, but, certainly we'll look at that, see if there was a setback requirement more than what we thought, because I thought,
Just
when Rick and I,
look at- We didn't say that previously.
yeah, because we
I
have all
recall
the
that
minutes,
from a
yeah.
previous
And we did, on Mr. Bagnell's property, I asked Orsted to make sure to reach out and work on the wall, which they provided you a detail of that wall, that they're extending out 7 foot, almost 400 feet, 300 something, but, to help with the glare and some of the other things and additional landscaping. So, we did try to address as best we could.
Well, and I do see from PJ's call sheet that he's reached out multiple times to Mr. Bagnell.
Yeah, and so I know one thing that we try to do is make sure the wall was included in this, and so I don't know if there's other areas, other people, but, that's one thing we did, and I know there's some other questions out there, so I just wanted to comment that we did try to, as much as
I
we
guess
could.
my main concern, one is, Michael's easement to his property, because he was saying he doesn't have, access to his.
Oh,
There's road access.
I've got something for Chris, maybe can answer the setback, and Jason to Tom. I don't have my scale bar, so I can't read this. But Mr. Hu, the early road he's talking about is a city right-of-way. We annexed it when we annexed this property as required by ARS 9471. But it is not a maintained road, and it was not maintained by the county, and we do not maintain it either. When we annex, we only assume maintenance if the county was
That'll
already
maintain
maintained.
easement, so he'll have access to his property.
The easement doesn't go away. There's 33 feet on either side of that section line there. Their setback minimum from the panels is measured at 50 feet from the edge of that 33, so it's a ways. Early Road's not going to go through. There's a canal in the way. That's why it doesn't go through now. Yeah, well, that canal's not in his way. He can get right there off of Tweedy Road, but from his property line, 83 feet north is the nearest a panel can be. And Chris Morgan is with United Engineering and probably knows a lot more of the technical specs related to some of these spacings on here, and I'll defer to him.
Yeah, my name's Chris Morgan with United Engineering Group, 3205 West Ray Road, Chandler. And Tim took the words out of my mouth when I jumped up to respond considering the CUP. Your very capable staff has run me through the ringer on the set of plans to make sure we are meeting everything that was discussed in the CUP. Tim's right, there's a 66-foot right-of-way along the north side of Mr. Hu's property. We never assumed that would continue further east, but it would be maintained. We're 83 feet north of that would be the first panel. Fence is usually a couple of feet inside that first panel just to leave clearance for access around it. And then if there's landscape requirements along any of them, it's either 16 feet for the oleanders or 20 for the rest.
Is there landscaping requirements there?
Along that edge, no, because there's nothing existing there, and the existing uses where there's residences on the other side of the canal, and that canal through there sits up kind of high in the air, so there's not really a visual.
You're happy to work with the neighbor and see what we can accommodate in the spirit of being neighborly, which I hope we've shown.
Mr. Chair,
And-
I don't mean to interrupt,
Go ahead.
but because we keep coming back to the conditional use permit, having gone through as best I could the zoning code book several times, is there a time constraint between the conditional use permit approval and site plan such that we're operating within a constrained time period?
Commissioner, no, there is not.
And just because I wrote it down quickly. Not for this one.
Yeah, the commission on some others
Yes.
placed a time limit on them.
Has done that.
So that'll be kind of, as we go forward, that'll probably be something that the commission will consider, I'm sure. We think it's a good idea.
You'll make us aware of that.
Yeah.
And the second question is just because I tried to write it down in here. When was the CUP approved?
May 8th, 2019.
May 8th, 2019.
Thank you very much.
Echo.
There we go.
And then, Tim, I think you were leading to something else I was going to bring up, the perimeter of Mr. Bagnall's property.
Yeah.
There was some
I can't
question
tell how
about
far
the
that is.
setback through there. In addition to where the panels are shown, it's on sheet 8 if you've got it available. In addition to the panels that are along there, Mr. Bagnall's fence, the north-south fence is pretty close to the property line. The east-west fence encroaches into the property a couple feet, but there's an existing canal that's completely on our property that I believe he may be using. Orsted did ask me to adjust all of our setbacks through there. Not the 50-foot setback that's shown on the plans. That's a standard setback. That's,
It's Justin Roberts buffers.
oh, excuse me.
So what Chris is actually referring to is some outreach that we did as you see from the letters that we have. What page is this?
This is 8.
Can you go to page 8?
You're,
So, this is Justin Roberts' property. He came in, spoke with us. Justin Roberts came in here, spoke with us at our office hours and said that he wanted to talk through some of his concerns. His concern was access to a ditch that provides water from the San Carlos Irrigation District. So we had I had several phone calls with Justin after and worked with Chris to be able to move the fencing around so that we can continually provide him access to that water supply. So that is one example of how we were able to have some of this public outreach, hear their comments, speak with them about it, and be able to make adjustments to our site plan.
yeah, that's, thank you. We were looking for this one.
So Chris, sorry about that. So it'd be at 287 Sunshine Boulevard.
So Chris, the setback in the front from 87 back to where the panels start in front of Tom's house. Rick and I were just trying to measure it with our scale. It looked like it was about 180. Is that right, or were we close? Or it's close to 200 feet.
This dashed line is the 50-foot setback measured from the 55-foot right-of-way dedication. So from the center of Sunshine Boulevard, that dashed line's 105 feet. And then the panels are another 10 or 15 feet from that.
But on 287, it could have gone further down, but they held it back.
Tim, to that point, on the site plan, or to the engineer, where is it reflected on your plans, the setback from the fence line to the solar panel? Mr. Chair, my apologies.
One moment.
There is not a setback from the fence line required. The setback is measured from the property line. The panels, unless there's a building code prohibition, can be within inches of the fence line, but they can't be closer than 50 feet to the property line. The fence may be on the property line, and the placement of the fence varies throughout the site, probably for various things, a lot of them irrigation related.
A lot of that has to do with physical constraints on the site, some of it grading, some of it farming, canals, like Tim said. Some of it's just 6 blocks of panels with inverters in the middle. We have 100 on one side and 50 on another. So it's really the governing dimension is the 50-foot setback. But we sometimes slide it around in between.
So, in regards to the solar panel, I understand it's minutia. It was just, I thought I understood someone saying that detail was on here and I couldn't find it, so I appreciate the clarification.
Okay, so from the center line of Sunshine Boulevard, what is the setback to where the fence is going to be?
Setback from the center line of Sunshine to the fence line is 20 feet. And that 20 feet is what is
You're in the 33-foot right-of-way.
Not from the center line.
No,
From the 55-foot right-of-way.
Yes.
on sheet 9?
We're looking at sheet 9, and on sheet 2 of the site plan, it'd be section 8A.
Okay, is that taking into consideration the 60-foot right-of-way that Hohokam has along that east boundary of the property as it goes along Sunshine?
That's probably coincident with the road right-of-way.
It's a 60-foot right-of-way from the center line of the road, west, is what they have as a canal right-of-way for Hohokam.
That did not show up on our notes yet. And I have no reason to.
There's the document.
So then, what we would do would be to slide everything 5 feet. Because right now we're showing 55 foot proposed right away along Sunshine. 20 feet of landscaping, then the fence, then an additional 30 feet for that first panel, but in actuality along this edge, we don't actually start panels for another 5 feet. So the whole thing just needs to slide 5 feet westward.
Okay, now the Pinal County, when you cross over 287, they required 75 feet on each side of it that was dedicated. Why didn't we match the 75-foot dedication?
It's not what our transportation plan calls for.
So,
Sunshine
so-
Boulevard is a minor arterial with the ultimate full right-of-way width of 110 feet, so their half is 55. Your side, as it gets developed, will be 55 for a total of 110 for a minor arterial, based on our comprehensive transportation study adopted in 2012.
so Pinal County wasn't aware of that?
They have a different study. They jive in a lot of places, but their parkway section is 150 feet of right-of-way and ours is 200. They still hold the same amount of lanes.
Okay, and just one thing, when I spoke to this gentleman right here at office hours, he did tell me that permanent jobs would be 4, maybe 3. So I don't know, I guess he forgot.
Didn't have a specific number for this site. guys up here, please.
Next item. And so, Tim, could we reference one of the slides in the appendix of the? Sorry, you're flipping through documents here. Yeah, I can flip to it. Cool. All right, let me navigate here. While we're on this page, this is actually the map that we had at office hours. It discussed a lot of the things that we're addressing right now, and it was a really helpful map whenever we were discussing with the 3 attendees of the office hours. So thank you for preparing it. So in the appendix, I want to highlight some of the site plan adjustments that we made. So as I'm able to show from the public outreach summary, those letters, a lot of the discussion that's been had today, we have reached out and we're really excited to work. We were really excited to work with neighboring landowners before this meeting. And I also want to say we're really excited to work with neighboring landowners after this meeting. And so here's some items here. You can see let's go from top to bottom. Spoke with Shotgun Passig over the phone. I went through that May 2019 planning and zoning meeting. I saw all the attendees, saw everyone who spoke at it, noted down their list of concerns, and tried reaching out to everyone. Shotgun was actually my first phone call, and we had a really great discussion. And so one thing he really wanted was to have oleanders near his property. And that's something that we made that adjustment for. Sounds like you're a neighbor of Shotgun. And so, we heard that some of his concerns were he wanted oleanders, and we're able to include that in the site plan. Tom and Penny Bagnall, I was able to reach out to them, as you see, through the summary and as been discussed today. And we had phone calls throughout May. I was able to meet Tom at the office hours, and we had some email exchanges with some of his questions and concerns after. And so, as discussed, and as Gilbert was discussing as well, providing a wall across the street from his property. Justin Roberts mentioned that earlier. We're moving around the fencing so that we can be able to make sure he has access to his rights at the San Carlos irrigation project to be able to water his property. And then we actually reached out with this neighborhood just north of the project, and one of the landowners was able to tell us that they didn't want oleanders. They wanted a different landscaping, which has been specified by the city of Coolidge. So we've absolutely done this outreach. I want to show that we have made a good faith effort to take these questions, concerns, suggestions, and that's absolutely what we're here for to discuss as well.
I got one question that came up, and I remember this from the CUP meeting. The site on the north side of 287 doesn't have any wells to provide water for drip irrigation. And that was going to be a problem to get irrigation to that area, because that's San Carlos Irrigation District and there's no wells over there.
Yeah, and I was able to read through the meeting minutes, and I was able to listen to the previous meeting, and that's a great lead into Arizona Water Company's map. Thank you for the next slide. This is what we know, that we have landscaping requirements and we have to water them. And so we currently have water rights on our project, and we also know that we're within Arizona Water Company territory. We've reached out to them, and so it's definitely a problem I'm confident we can solve.
Okay.
They
I
have
just thought I'd bring that up because I know that was one of the things that was going to be a hindrance.
It's important. We want to make sure that landscaping stays alive.
That's right.
That's right.
Mr. Chair, Commissioner Metcalf, the Arizona Water has a line that runs up 11 Mile Corner. So, and they're actually installing some more water line coming south. You can see it. There's a contractor putting it in.
Yeah, I've seen that.
So that there's more water being sent down there in that area because of the growth. But that benefits Orsted because they can access that water, I believe. So that's what they're working on, if the water rights allow that and all that. Because you're correct, there are no wells there. So the best source of water that we're aware of is Arizona Water because they're a utility. So
yeah.
So that brings me back to Mr. Everhart's comment about dust control. Is there a way you can hydroseed that lot?
I'm new to some of those processes, so that's something that we can learn more about.
Please, come to the podium.
I'm not aware of very much dust control in that area.
now with hydros, yeah, because I don't know how you would do that. I mean, I was a farmer, and you know, you like you say, you dust and you disc and you do that, but the soil still. In fact, if it sits there with rain on it, hopefully it'll keep the dust down.
You brought up a good idea. You can bring in sheep, you can bring in farm animals.
Not goats, they
There's
climb
ways
panels.
to maintain that landscaping without really having to do a lot of labor.
I live next to a field with no panels and it's dusty as hell. Anyway.
I know you do.
And I don't have the benefit of having someone install some landscaping next to me that may help, but incidentally is not the purpose of landscaping. Landscaping is a screening measure, not a dust control measure per code.
Chairman, while dust control might not be the issue, the screening is. I'm not just coming at you with words. I took photos today. I took photos of no less than 3 different water tanks, only one of which was hooked up to a well. All the other ones were top filled from the top, meaning a truck has to come in and fill it. There's no guarantee that that's going to be maintained. I spoke to the CEO of the hydroseeding company that did this. This is why I'm coming to you guys with real information. There's no native vegetation sprayed out there. It's just weeds. If you go out there yourself or look at the photos I took, all the oleanders are dying or in serious distress.
I did that drive yesterday.
And let's not even forget that oleanders are toxic to humans. I have 4 children that live right there. I share a fence with them. I'm willing to work with you guys. I really want to. I know this is happening. I support it because it's not an oil plant. We're good. But there's some serious issues that need to be addressed.
Mr.
I'm genuinely
Everhart,
concerned.
they're showing trees and shrubs south of your property, not oleanders.
Showing and doing is completely different.
That's
I can
what
show
we're
you
approving on the site plan.
We would hold it to them. I mean, it's our, we issue the permits and we do all that, so. we inspect
Well,
it.
let's go on a field trip and look out there.
Physically do a plant count.
I get that the Arizona Water Company is working to put water out there, but this company didn't say they were going to hook up to a well. You asked about water control or dust control, you got a no answer. He said while they're conducting construction, yeah, they're gonna bring a water truck out there to water down, that is it. The hydrant seeding company will come out, they will tackify it, and then 6 months later, it's back to dirt. Sorry, I forgot your name. You referenced that your company loves native plants growing. Well, guess what doesn't grow under 6 foot of solar panels? Nothing. I'll take you out there. All I have in my life is my word, and I got nothing else. I don't think they sufficiently answered anything. I'm just asking that we panel it or table it so that we can make a conscious decision. We have time. Let's use it. That's all I'm asking.
One more lady in the back there.
Hi, you guys. I'm Rose Robertson. I'm the daughter of Pat Robertson, landowner, so I'm representing Alligator Farms. Being the property owner, dust is horrible in Arizona anyway. I get that. The plants and the trees, I understand that. You're my neighbors now. My dust blows on you. I apologize. But holding these guys accountable and holding Nextera are two different things. S Power Company and Nextera are two different companies that are not Orsted. And so these guys have worked closely with as many neighbors as they can. And in my opinion, I think they've done a good job. I think that, you know, if they could maintain that would be really important to me because it is our property and it matters. But if our standard is here, then why is this Orsted's problem? So we need to talk to the city officials, Pinal County, and that if we're wanting to up how things look, we need to make these guys accountable, not just the company coming in. So that was just my opinion. Thank you.
Chairman Halby, Commissioners, the landscaping is issues for several projects. The one that comes up most isn't in the city. Per their conditional use permit, written in here, black and white, is that requirement to install and maintain.
Yep.
Should they not, they are in violation of this, and phone call from Mr. Everhart or anybody else, and then you can see how responsive the city is, I suppose, but it is a requirement of the permit, it's not an option.
I know that we made that not an option, for a lot of the reasons that were stated tonight. We don't want to repeat the past. We like our community. We want to keep it nice. We want to make it better. How do we raise the standard if we don't start holding people accountable, right? And as the new business comes in, we need to let them understand that we are going to hold them accountable. And you need to be a responsible neighbor. I mean, these guys happen to own a solar farm. I personally own a farm. I have to take care of my neighbors because I have to live next to my neighbors.
And also, I want to say that some of these solar farms out here where there's tanks that aren't being watered and all this stuff didn't come through this Planning and Zoning Commission. I want to state that very strongly. Some of them did and some of them didn't. And I think the ones you're seeing, because we didn't authorize any tank-fed drip systems. We did not go there. So I'm saying that something you're seeing doesn't belong to our system. We didn't approve it. Am I right, Tim?
We do have some that utilize tanks to water because they don't have a domestic supply or wells available. And that was their option. It does not relieve them the requirement of keeping it alive.
Then we need to find out where these tanks are that aren't being taken care of. And if that's...
I would be happy to go take a look at those.
Well, there's the man that can tell you where they're at.
Yeah, I recently drove a lot of these, and I called the companies that are in charge of those and told them that the weeds are getting out of hand on the outside. More the St. Solar than it was the Eastline Solar, and told them some of the plants are going. So they're trying to work through the irrigation system to see if they can get it fixed. So we're on them about it, and we called them and said, this doesn't help you in the solar industry if this thing looks like this. So you need to take care of it. And they promised me they would. So, you know, and the weeds thing, I mean, it just rained really good. So the city's having a hard time keeping up with our mowers on everything, and we're sending out people letters to have everybody cut their weeds, and there are just so many right now. So we're trying, and I know they're trying, but I said, you got to take care of it because everybody looks at this. And
we're learning as we go along.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not that we're not addressing it. We're trying everything we can. So,
Mr. Chair.
And we'll stay on it. So.
Yeah, at the risk of not letting somebody talk who wants to, are we getting close to being done with the
Hi, my name is Penny Bagnall. I'm at 67 North Sunshine. I think we've had a really good study session here tonight, but that's exactly what this has been. It's been a study session. A lot of your questions, sir, has not been answered. They've been danced around. We're fearful of that because we've already been hit by that train. We're fearful. Please, table this. Let's study it. Give us an opportunity to look at it and feel more comfortable with this. Thank you.
I'd love to provide a response. Included in your packet, there's actually some detailed Q&A that we have done. And so we're happy to continue those conversations, and we're really, we've been providing detailed information about our project and about questions that come up about our project. So you have a really great example of that included in your packet. And yeah, just wanted to be able to say we're not dancing around answers, we're addressing them directly. And they're, we're really excited to be able to work with everyone within the community and neighboring our project.
All right, if that's it, we'll close the public hearing. Do we need to have a discussion?
Mr. Chair, at the risk of being the new guy and again getting over my skis, certainly got a discussion, but I can be cajoled into making a motion right now if you want, and maybe that helps lead the conversation. And I don't know if there's a distinction, but I would make a motion that we continue Cool PZ 21-06-13, the next regularly scheduled Planning and Zoning Committee meeting, to give the applicant, staff, and the public time to answer not just the questions that have been raised here, but the ones raised by the commission. I think by continuing, it gives an indication that we are certainly wanting the project to move forward, but giving it the time it needs to clarify some of these. So that's the reason.
Give a second. Motion's been made to table this.
You guys can absolutely table it. That's 100% your decision. Understanding the public hearing portion's over.
Yes.
That does not stop citizens from reaching out to commissioners or developers or any of that to try and have some of their concerns addressed. And that's all great. From an administrative standpoint, this meets the requirements you set last time. But it is not a bad idea to continue to work with property owners. Your option to table it completely.
Yeah, we weren't.
Decision, but there isn't a public hearing next time.
Yeah, we were.
That's all I'm trying to make you understand.
Right. Tim and I were just talking about which meeting to table it to. Where if you want to do it to the next one, that's fine. And then I don't know if that's enough time for Orsted to work with the neighbors. What do you think that's? It would be next month, October. So that gives you 4 weeks, more or less, to reach out.
I'm interested. At the risk of killing my own motion, I don't know that, and maybe the motion that I made wasn't technically correct, but I don't know that we got a second.
No, you're fine. Yeah, your motion's fine. Whatever you may want to make is fine as long as the other commissioners agree to it.
Do you have a second?
I second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll table this to the next meeting.
So, yeah, if you'd like to say something, and you're going to work with.
Yeah, and we're excited to continue this conversation. As a follow-up, we're curious if we could have some detailed questions that we could be able to work with the commissioners on and all those who attended. Is that an opportunity to be able to address those?
And we
what
have
is
a
the
list of
suggested
all-
process for that?
We have a list of who spoke, so we can provide that to you, so you can reach out to those people.
And contact information?
We should have that. Should be. Yes. And if you try to contact them, you can't, please call our office and we'll get you the contact information. So, all right? Thank you all for being here.
If you all have any questions or concerns about this, please direct them to Gilbert and his office, and he'll put them together, get him in contact with DJ, and they'll get you a resolution.
Can I just ask, can the site plan be added to the city website so that we have access to it and can review it?
We'll print you a copy if you're welcome to pick up, or I could send you a link.
Yeah, it's too big to post, I think. So we,
Yeah,
it's a
because
huge file.
Ken Bolin had sent me a copy, and again, it was, part of it was cut, half of the page was cut off on everything.
Ours won't be cut
Of course,
off.
it was the page in front of my house.
Yeah, no, we'll get you a good copy that
And
you
if
can
that
read.
could be the latest and the greatest, that would be, I would appreciate that, because
this one right here.
I've not seen anything regarding,
Tom?
Give you the,
I'll take that one. That's perfect, thank you.
yeah, those are real engineering drawings, so.
Hey, that happens when you got the engineer sitting here.
You want to give him this one?
That one's probably easier to read than
This, yeah.
my half size. Harder to carry.
All right. Reports? We're done with full PZ, right?
Yes.
Yes.
22-0. All right. Reports from the chairman.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners,
Gilbert, I think we're gonna have a whole bunch of people leave, so hold on a second. If anybody wants to leave, they can.
Hey, Jonathan.
I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for your
Hey, we're not done, so if you guys want to talk, leave, quiet, get out of here. Start yelling in the mic.
Hey, DJ. Hey, DJ. Take those
We're not
guys
done
around
with the
the
meeting.
corner so we can finish our meeting. Thank you.
all right, Mr. Chair, Commissioners, quickly, Calvin Coolidge days are coming back up, so the fly-in's going to start October 1st at the airport, so that'll be really good. Also, we're working with SRP. They have some information they're providing to the public on the expansion of the Trans-Canada facility, and so they're going through that process with the Arizona Corporation Commission and doing that. And so we've met with them. We met with Senator Sinema about some infrastructure needs we have on the big infrastructure bill that's coming up. So we've given them a list of things we need for the airport, the north-south freeway, other things like that. They committed to $100,000 to our airport, along with the Eloy airport and the different airport. So what else do we have? And then we also, I'll wait till he does. And then we also met with Phoenix Gateway, Mesa Gateway Airport. We met with their director and all the people that run that, and talked about partnerships with our airport, our little airport. So they came down with different things and information and places where maybe a project doesn't fit there at Mesa Gateway, but they maybe direct them down here. Because we have 1,400 acres of land we're trying to develop for economic development. And Arizona Water is expanding the water capacity. We have 300,000 for electrical upgrades to the airport, and I think we're a little bit short, so we may be able to ask some of the infrastructure money to help us with that. To be able
Say, isn't some of that money going to our airport?
Yeah, so she mentioned that on the first infrastructure bill, she dedicated $100,000 each, to Coolidge, to Casa Grande, to Eloy, and to Ak-Chin. So, which is good, 100,000. I said thank you. Of course, I went to the meeting in Casa Grande and addressed it and provided the list. So we'll continue to meet with some of the representatives on that. We got a meeting, I believe, tomorrow. We're going to meet with more people, with the mayor, and so that's just an item. Some of the things we're working on. We're working on a lot of big projects down south that are really exciting. And the staff gives me a hard time because I say it's covered under an NDA. I can't say who it is. So we have all the, and like that means that nothing's happening or something like that. But I'm like, no, seriously. I said some of these projects take a long time. Nicola took 2 years, 3 years before, and there was one that came back. We were working on for 2 years, and finally we're really still in the ball game. But there's some others that are massive that are really exciting.
Don't take 2 years to build a Whopper.
No, I know. Well, no, that's in the works.
Trying to, though.
That's in the works. Those plans are in second review, so we're getting closer. That'll save me a trip to Casa Grande and to Florence.
Yeah.
I put a lot. Oh yeah. So anyway, that's all I have at this point. Tim, do you have anything?
I saw that ADOT approved the
Yes.
freeway.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, they did. Everything down by iPads looks like great, and then how it connects to the how it connects down to the freeway is what we were asking for.
Right.
So we really used the environmental process because I used to do that for Glendale. So, not to just that, but people commented and they picked the best route so that we were happy to see that. We'll look and see how it aligns to everything else because the county already had purchased them right away. And so in part of iPads and all that, and through some of there's actually swaths of land through some of the solar that's out there by NextEra and St. Holdings. That's where the north-south freeway will go, and they've already carved out right away. So I haven't shot it with a drone yet. I want to. I'm looking for a drone. We got one, but for some reason I can't get it.
I got one.
Yeah, but it's we want to shoot iPads and then go up because we use them for when we talk to these companies. We do our dog and pony show, so to speak.
I have one. We do our aerial photography with.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm supposed to reach out to someone that has one, and Tony crashed ours because the GPS quit working, and so ever since then, I guess I gave him such a hard time. He doesn't want to fly it. So James Myers, our airport manager, is going to do it. Because he has a pilot's license and everything, so he should be able to fly it. But it's a Mavic. It's a good drone. It's not a fancy drone, but it's good. It takes 4K photos. So anyway, that's where we are. We're working on a lot of stuff. So thank you all for tonight. It was pretty difficult, but
Mr. Chair, Mr. Lopez, if you might, on the ADOT stuff,
Yeah.
It's truly exciting news, and who pays my bills? I've been through 3 freeway projects, and so it's nice to see that this come on, and then you get the funding.
Yeah.
And for just the posterity of it, encouraging everything we can do to work, particularly with our elected leadership, because I don't know if you saw it, but as soon as ADOT selected the alignment, Representative Leach was on his side of town, basically saying over his body, would there be any funding to this project before I-10 got more lanes?
oh wow.
And so, again, for the record, encouraging the city to reach out to our elected folks and
Yeah,
legislature
absolutely.
to say, hey,
Yeah.
we're going to need help with funding, we're going to need help making sure this is going on, because it's exciting, but it's going to take some time, and already starting the arguments about whether or not we should get it or I-10 should get it is going to be interesting.
Yeah, because one of the things the mayor of Casa Grande, of course, wanted the I-10 expanded. Yeah, so every mayor hit their city, So I made sure to bring up the north-south and how it helps the East Valley, but also Coolidge, Florence, and all the east side. So trying to give more reasons to approve ours, but it is competitive, and you're right. Yeah, the city's appointed me as a lobbyist for the legislature, so I'm the registered guy that has to submit the reports of how much food I give all the legislatures, which is 0 because we don't have a budget. So I never bought TJ a cheeseburger, but as friends I could, but not. But anyways, we keep working to that. So you're absolutely right. The communication is critical because everybody else is doing it too. So we got to step up and do our part and be as vocal as possible. So I'll do my best.
It's the grease.
I'll do my best. Thank you.
All right. That's it. Make a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good night, everybody.
Thank